The sun dipping below the jagged horizon of central Java, the air grows thick and humid, and for a moment, the bustling sounds of the village simply stop. This is Maghrib, the golden hour that bridges the world of the living and the spirit realm. But tonight, there is no peace. A mother screams as she finds her toddler's bed empty, the windows swinging open on rusted hinges. We are stepping directly into the heart of a nightmare that has haunted Indonesia for generations. It's not a ghost of malice, they say, but a ghost of distorted love. You're about to meet the legend that ensures no child stays outside after dark. Welcome to the world of Wewe Gombel.
They call her the grandmother of Gombel. Witnesses describe a towering figure, taller than any man, with skin the color of ash and hair that flows like a tangled river of shadows. But the most terrifying feature, the one that brands her image into the minds of those who see her, is her sagging, pendulous breasts. She is a maternal figure twisted by tragedy, a spirit that looks like a mockery of motherhood. She doesn't crawl out of the television or hide under the bed. No, she waits in the high canopies of the Pohon Randu or the dense clusters of bamboo, watching, waiting for the one thing she never had, a child to call her own.
But to understand the monster, we have to understand the woman she once was. Centuries ago, in the hills of Semarang, lived a woman who was the picture of devotion. She loved her husband fiercely, but their home was silent. She could not bear children. In that era, infertility was seen as a curse, a mark of shame that isolated her from her community. Her husband, driven by the pressure of society and his own desires, began to look elsewhere. The woman who would become Wewe Gombel was left to wither in the shadows of her own home, her heart breaking a little more with every passing day as she watched the world move on without her. The breaking point came when she discovered her husband's infidelity. The betrayal was like a poison in her veins. Mad with grief and rage, she confronted him, and in the ensuing chaos, lives were lost. She fled into the wilderness of the Gombel Hills, where the terrain is as treacherous as her shattered mind. There she took her own life, but the earth wouldn't take her soul. Her longing for a child and her hatred for neglectful parents fused into something ancient and powerful. She rose as a kuntilanak of a different breed, not just a ghost, but a guardian of the abandoned, albeit a terrifying one. Wewe Gombel doesn't just take any child. She targets the ones who are ignored, the ones whose parents are too busy fighting, or those who are left to wander the streets as the sun sets. In her twisted logic, she isn't kidnapping them, she's saving them. She takes them to her nest, often hidden in the highest branches of a tree or a secret pocket of the spirit world. There, she treats them with a terrifying kindness. She hides them under her long, heavy breasts, keeping them warm and invisible to the human eye. To the child, she might even look like their real mother, a trick of the mind played by a spirit desperate for a family. The feeding is where the horror truly begins. While the child is with her, they are never hungry, or so they think. Wewe Gombel prepares what looks like the most delicious traditional Javanese feasts, steaming rice, fried fish, and sweet treats. But this is a glamour, a spiritual illusion. In reality, she is feeding the children mud, earthworms, and feces. She force-feeds them this filth to keep them in a trance, ensuring they forget their real homes and their real parents. It's a stomach-churning survival tactic that keeps the children tethered to her realm, slowly turning them into something less than human. When a child goes missing during the twilight hours, the village doesn't just call the police, they call the community. They know that to get a child back from Wewe Gombel, you have to embarrass her and overwhelm her senses. This is the ritual of kotekan, or tetabuhan. The villagers gather with kitchen utensils, pots, pans, and bamboo sticks, and they create a deafening, chaotic rhythm. They march through the village, banging the metal and shouting the child's name. The idea is to make so much noise that the spirit becomes confused and ashamed. She is a creature of the shadows and silence, and the clanging of the human world is her greatest weakness. As the ritual reaches its peak, the atmosphere changes. The air grows cold, and a foul smell often fills the clearing. Suddenly, the child will appear, often in a place that has already been searched dozens of times. They are usually found in a daze, perched high in a tree or tucked into a small crevice, their mouths smeared with the food she gave them. They have no memory of the kidnapping, only a vague recollection of a kind grandmother who kept them safe from the dark. But the trauma remains, a lingering fear of the sunset that stays with them for the rest of their lives.
Even in the modern age, with streetlights and smartphones, the legend of Wewe Gombel hasn't faded. In the outskirts of Jakarta and the rural heartlands of Bali, people still tell stories of the tall woman seen near construction sites or under old bridges. She has adapted to our world, finding new places to hide as the forests disappear. Some say she now stalks the children of the digital age, those who are neglected not by physical distance, but by the glowing screens that occupy their parents' attention. Her hunger for a child's love is eternal, and as long as there is a child left lonely, Wewe Gombel will have a reason to exist.
So, what can we learn from this dark guardian of the Indonesian night? Perhaps Wewe Gombel is a manifestation of our collective guilt, a reminder that the greatest horror isn't a ghost in the trees, but the neglect of those we are meant to protect. She is the shadow of our failures as a society, a monster born from the pain of being unwanted. When the sun begins to set and the shadows grow long, remember the story of the woman who never sleeps. Keep your loved ones close, lock your doors, and never ignore the silence of a child. Because in the darkness of the Gombel Hills, she is always watching.
Thank you for joining me on this journey into the darker side of folklore. These stories are more than just scares. They are the heart of a culture's history and fears. If you enjoyed this dive into the legend of Wewe Gombel, make sure to let me know in the comments. Have you ever had an experience you couldn't explain at sunset? I'd love to hear your stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates. We have many more legends to uncover, and you won't want to miss what's coming next. Until then, stay safe and stay out of the shadows. Good night.